All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for attending our third installment of the new student and family engagement sessions. Tonight's topic is going to be
Finally,
wellness.
meeting.
So we'll hope that you
We had a school
understand.
folks supposed to be tuning in every week, and I didn't know anything about it.
So we hope that you'll understand some of the health and immunization expectations, learn about some mental health resources at ESF, and develop a self-care plan. I will be answering in questions in the chat. If you could everybody mute their microphones? And if you have any questions, feel free to place them in the chat and they will be answered there. So first, I'd like to introduce Dean Ann Lombard, who will be talking about some of the general health and wellness services that ESF has to offer, as well as some of our immunizations.
Thank you so much, Amelia, and welcome to everyone who is joining us tonight for the first time. And welcome back to those of you who have joined us before. We're very, very happy to have you here. I see your question. We're going to talk a little bit about vaccination, MMR, and COVID, and all of that information that we want to get from you. So I'm going to ask Amelia to go to the next slide. And as I was joking before, I'm sitting in my office as the sun is setting. So I know that my face is obscured a little bit, but maybe it's like a nice Instagram filter making me look younger. But so we're going to talk tonight about immunization records, how we need to have you submit information, talk a little bit about health insurance, talk about our partnership with Crouse Medical Practice. Ruth is going to overview our counseling services and some wellness programming. We're also going to talk about student support and academic success, and a little bit about safety and wellness from University Police, and a little bit about athletics and recreational services at Syracuse University. So if we can have the next slide. I'm going to talk first about Crouse Medical Practice. So I've said this before, but I want to mention it again. We do not have a student health service on our campus, and our students do not use the health service or the counseling services at Syracuse University. So we have a relationship with a medical practice, which is just down the hill from Centennial Hall, called Crouse Medical Practice, and they give our students preferred access to that medical practice. Our students are not required to use Crouse Medical Practice, but they provide good service, and they're a group that we are very comfortable in referring our students to. Use of Crouse Medical Practice or any healthcare provider in Syracuse is through your own insurance. And we will talk a little bit about insurance, but as a reminder, all full-time ESF students are required to have health insurance. You want to make sure on your end that you're checking that that insurance is usable in and around Syracuse, because we want to make sure that if you need medical care, that you have access to it through your insurance. So Crouse Medical Practice does accept most major insurances. They also accept the ESF student health insurance plan, which I'll talk a little bit more about, but they can help you with everything from managing chronic medical concerns that you may have managed up to this point. They can do strep tests. They will do depression and anxiety screening. They can do gynecological exams, pap testing, sexual disease, sexually transmitted infection testing. They can do laboratory testing. They can prescribe medications. They can refer you to specialists. They're kind of a general medical practice. If you need a physical because you're a student athlete, they can also do that, and they can help you to get your vaccinations and wellness exams. So again, students are not required to use Crouse. It's an option for you, but you can secure your health care wherever you would like. But the most important takeaway, I hope one of the most important takeaways tonight, is that you are required to come to campus with insurance. So if I might have the next slide. we're going to talk a little bit about immunizations. So I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but state law and SUNY policy and Syracuse University policy helps to guide our decision-making about what we need from you related to immunization information. So there are a couple of things that are required by state law, and that is the MMR, which most people probably get that as a combined immunization, mumps, measles, and rubella, or you might have gotten individual shots for all of that. There are 2 separate forms that you need to upload through the MyESF student portal. So 2 action items on our portal. One is related to MMR and one is related to meningitis. So let me start first with MMR. You can either complete our immunization, MMR and immunization history form, which is available on our website. You can complete that and have your doctor's office sign that, or you can upload through our MyESF student portal your immunization record without needing to go to your doctor. So you can do that one of 2 ways. You do not need to get a physical before you come to ESF unless you're a student athlete. Everyone else just needs to submit their MMR information for us. As I said, either the immunization record itself or the form that you can download and have your doctor's office sign and stamp and upload that through the portal. So all students who were born after January 1, 1957 are required to have MMR by the state of New York. You are also required to either get a meningitis vaccine or to sign a form that indicates you understand the risks related to meningitis. So that's the second thing that you're going to do at the MyESF student portal. There are 2 forms, one for MMR, one for meningitis. You're going to complete both of them and you're going to upload them as separate action items. And you will see on the portal that action item isn't completed until you get notification that it's been approved. So what happens is you upload this information. We've got a staff person on the back end who checks that you've done all the things that you need to do. If you've done all those things, then you're going to get a message in your student portal that says that action item has been approved. If we need some more information from you, you need to look for that communication at the portal to see what it is we still need from you. So that's meningitis and MMR. COVID, you're going to submit in a different way. So I talked a couple of weeks ago about what the expectations are related to COVID. All of our students have the same obligations that Syracuse University students have related to COVID because we access their programs and resources and dining halls and so on. You are going to upload your COVID vaccine information through the SUNY COVID vaccination portal. So that's going to be a separate link that's going to be available from our website and that we'll also include in our next upcoming email to all of you. You're going to upload COVID information only through the SUNY portal. And if you run into difficulty there is information there about calling our office, and we've got a user's guide to help do that. So the state is gathering that information. So I apologize that it's a little disjointed, and this is, in part because we don't have a health service, but MMR and meningitis are action items on our student portal. COVID will be uploaded through the SUNY vaccination portal. And I want to mention that you do need to submit your information, your MMR, meningitis, and COVID information prior to your arrival. You won't be able to check into Centennial Hall unless you've taken care of those 3 things. So if you run into difficulty as you're trying to navigate this, you can call our office, but that information should be ready to go. And then finally, to plan ahead, Syracuse University is requiring flu shots for all of their students, which means that our students also will need to get a flu shot. You can't get a flu shot yet, so don't worry about that. I just wanted to plant the seed now that at some point this fall, you're going to be asked to upload flu shot information as well. So I know these are a lot of pretty detailed things, and we're happy to help as best we can. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, but I'll also mention again, there is a process by which to request exemptions if you have either a medical reason for exemptions, or if you have a sincerely held religious belief that prohibits your getting either all vaccinations or some vaccinations. So on page 2 of the form that you'll submit for MMR, the back side of that form is the exemption request. Instead of uploading that to the My ESF student portal, there are instructions on the form, so you don't need to remember all of this tonight, but you're gonna send that to an email, covidsa@esf.edu, and the Vaccination Exemption Committee will consider your request for an exemption. And you need to, so there isn't one form that you fill out for all exemptions because not everyone needs to be exempted from all exemptions. So you do one for MMR and you do one for COVID. So all of this information can be found on our health website. So www.esf.edu/health. You can navigate from there on how to upload this information about exemption requests, and information about insurance, which is probably the next slide or the next couple of slides. So that's an overview of what the expectations are related to immunizations, how you go about uploading that, and how you go about requesting an exemption if that applies to you. May I have the next slide, please? There it is, health insurance. So as I said when I started, all full-time ESF students, that's 12 credit hours for undergraduate students, 9 credit hours for graduate students, automatically have the ESF student health insurance plan added to their first student bill. So for most of our students, that will be the fall bill. It only applies to students who start in January for the spring bill. So you should all look in your first student bill. And for our first year students, you'll be billed as a full-time student, and then you can adjust your schedule when you get here and need to make changes and so on. But you should see a charge for $2,961 on your first student bill. We have no financial incentive at all to have you enroll in our ESF student health insurance plan. We do this to ensure that if you need it, it's there for you. But most of you probably have health insurance through either your parents or your families or your guardians, sometimes your employment, sometimes your spouses or partners. If you have health insurance through some other means, it's very, very easy to go to the Haler, Fryer, and Kuhn insurance portal and waive out of the ESF student health insurance plan. So Haler, Fryer, and Kuhn is our insurance broker, and they manage this process for us. You will need your 9-digit SUID card, SUID number in order to waive out at the HFC portal. So I just want to put this on your radar now. You do have until September 30th every fall to waive out of the ESF student health insurance plan. So you've still got time to do that, but I don't want you to forget to do it because you want to make a note to do that. If you fail to waive out of the plan, you will be automatically enrolled in the plan for the year. And that $2,961 is an annual premium. So that's for the year. It's prorated for students who start in spring semester. And the plan year runs from August 15th to August 15th. And what I've heard from parents and families in the past is that it's a really good plan. It's comprehensive and it's relatively low in terms of out-of-pocket expenses because college students tend to be a healthy population. So some families have made the choice to take students off of their family plans and enroll students in our ESF plan because of what's offered and because of the cost. And I joke all the time, but I'm completely serious. If I could unenroll my daughter from my health insurance plan, my 16-year-old, I would put her on the ESF student health insurance plan because I would save a good amount of money. But so it's something to look at and consider. It's automatically placed on your bills and you need to waive out of the plan if you don't need it. You can find more information about the ESF health insurance plan, again, from navigating from our health website, www.esf.edu/health. And then you click on the insurance box and over on the right-hand side, there is a flyer that has highlights of our plan. I will say to you, if you logged in tonight to look at that, it has an incorrect listing for the premium. I found out not too long ago that our premium actually was lowered for this year, which is great. It's not usually the case where something goes down a little. So you might still see an annual charge of a little bit over $3,000, but the correct amount for the annual plan and what you should see on your bill is $2,961. Now, we often get asked, can dependents enroll in the ESF plan? No, they can't. It's just available for students. And the other question that we get a lot is, I waived out, but now I find that I need the health insurance. You can enroll in the plan at any point. Our health insurance broker would help you do that. It would be at a prorated amount. So sometimes, let's say your insurance comes from your family and employment might change, insurance plans might change. You might find yourself without insurance at some point in the year. You can enroll in this plan at any point. It's prorated. And as I said, it's a good plan. It's low out of pocket. So that's a little bit about our health insurance plan. Just be aware that that's going to show up on your first student bill. And if you don't need it, please do make sure that you waive out of it. So Amelia, next slide, please. So before I turn it over to Ruth and let her start, I'm going to just say that I'm going to continue to monitor the chat. So if there are questions that you have, I'm happy to help doing that. But I'm happy to turn it over to Ruth Larson, who is our Director of Counseling Services at ESF.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ruth, and I am the Director of Counseling Services. And I just want to introduce you to our staff. If we can go to the next slide. So we have myself, Maggie McCurdy is our staff therapist. Joelle Conant is our other staff therapist, and we will have two SU clinicians in training. Their names are Kiona Wren and Ryan Hubbard. So all of us will be specializing in depression, anxiety, homesickness, relationship issues, those kinds of things. Those are pretty across the board. Most counselors handle those kinds of concerns and issues. We do have our specialty areas. So mine are grief and loss, LGBTQIA+ issues, and trauma. Maggie McCurdy is absolutely awesome with eating disorder or body image issues, LGBTQIA+ issues, as well as clients who are neurodiverse. Joelle Conant's strong points are alcohol and other drugs. And then our two clinicians in training, Kiona and Ryan, they come to us with interest in, and experience and passion of multicultural issues, the LGBTQIA+ issues, veterans issues, and also neurodiversity. So next slide, Amelia, please. So many people wonder, what are the benefits of seeking counseling? And we can easily say that we can help people have better relationships, better coping skills, feeling better about yourself, learning how to fight or argue more fairly, learning how to control your emotions. Some people come to college with some bad habits that they might want to change. And we can help with all of those kinds of things. So we really do believe that counseling does help people. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in the profession. We do believe that people can make changes for the better, for sure. Amelia, next slide. So obviously, most people know that counselors will do individual counseling, but we do far more than that. Our counseling is set up to be short-term solution focused. So we always want to make sure that we set the appropriate expectations for students coming in. We are not able to do weekly counseling visits for the length of time that you or your student is in counseling. College counseling centers are not open or available to do those kinds of services. But what we can do is short-term solution focus. So we want to help the student, meet them where they're at, find out what's causing them trouble, and giving them a bunch of solutions to see if they can turn that situation around. And we just want to be supportive of our students. We do offer referrals to counselors in the community if you or your student want or need longer-term counseling. If that referral happens, please note that that will go on your health insurance. And so that is kind of then stepping into kind of like a relationship with Kraus. So you would use your health insurance. We do offer crisis services. So we have crisis sessions for at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. And so we always want to let people know that that is when a counselor is totally available to see someone. So they are not scheduled with other clients or other events. So they are holding that space, waiting for a crisis if a crisis occurs that day. We also know that crises don't always happen at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So we want to let people know that if you or your student is in crisis, please come to counseling services. We will have one of our clinicians in training there. We will be able to, maybe pull someone out of another session. We will make sure that you are taken care of in a crisis. But we also want to just you to know that, because you may need to bring a friend over or something like that. So we also offer a lot of outreach programming. So we are going to be offering workshops and tabling on things like long distance relationships, homesickness, alcohol and cannabis awareness, mindfulness and meditations, seasonal affect disorder, and our intro event is Cookies with a Counselor. And so I just sit in Gateway and people just come up and I just talk to them about counseling services. We always want to make sure that people know about us on campus, and then I give them a really delicious cookie. So it's a win-win all around. We also offer teletherapy options. So these are some of the things that we specialize in. So we can manage most everything that students come to counseling for on a college campus, but if situations arise, we may need to refer out to a counselor in the community. Next slide, please. So every year we do a every semester, we do a client satisfaction survey, and we ask clients to anonymously give us information on, like how welcome they felt in the center, how easy it was to set up appointments, and they have this space that they can do a quote. So this one was one of the quotes that I liked. Everyone was very friendly and welcoming from day one. I felt safe and cared for, and sometimes miss being able to take advantage of this opportunity. I wish I had done so earlier. So we love when we get positive information back from our clients, but we also want to know that if a client maybe didn't fit so well with their counselor, please know that we don't take those things personally. We can absolutely have you or your students see one of the other counselors. So we always want to make sure that people have a good experience in counseling services. And so I'm always open to talk with anybody about any questions that they have about counseling. So how do you get in contact with counseling services? So we are available by phone, obviously. We're going to start using the 4716 number more frequently as we get an office assistant in our office space. So soon the 4716 number is going to be the number that we're going to be using. Again, that shows our crisis hours. We are in 110A Bray Hall, which is right next door to Student Affairs and right across the hall from Financial Aid. So you will become very familiar with that office, I'm sure. I've listed my email there. That's our website. And then please follow us on Instagram, ESF Counseling Services. This is where we advertise all of our workshops and our tabling events, as well as advertising those on Engage. So we really want to make sure that our students know about Engage. That is where every event that is happening on campus is placed so that students can find information. Previously in past years, maybe I had a calendar of events, and then Academic Success had a calendar of events, and Career Services. We now have everything in one place. So it's going to be really easy for your student to find information about what's going on campus. So I want to talk about a few things that you'll find on our website. So when you first go to our website, this is the page that you're going to see. So we always have some good information over on the left-hand side, pretty basic information. Over on the right-hand side, I want to point out counseling services links. So we have student resources, and we're going to go to that in just a minute. But also we have faculty and staff resources, FAQs, and procedures. There's our address, phone number, email addresses, and then down in the bottom right-hand corner, crisis help. So really clear directions, like if a person is in crisis, what they can do to go and get help. So the next page we're going to talk about is student resources. So on our student resources tab, up at the top left, we have a bunch of videos that we have created so that students can look at these at their leisure. We were finding during COVID that, you know, we weren't really quite able to do like workshops via Zoom yet. We hadn't quite figured that out. So we went ahead and just videotaped a bunch of resources that we thought would be helpful. And so these are topics of, you know, there was a time during COVID when everybody was having to live at home, and maybe they needed some help with navigating that again. There's relationship red flags, there's Stumpy self-care, there's information on resiliency and anatomy of an all-nighter. And I'm just gonna say, if this is my first contact with all of you tonight, rookie mistake. Students come to ESF and they start filling up their calendars with a whole bunch of fun things, and we love that part, but they start lacking sleep. Sleep goes on the back burner. And I can just tell you as a mental health professional, please don't do that. Please, please, please don't do that. But if you have to do an all-nighter for some reason, and hopefully that's a crisis reason, in that video, we give you some really good strategies for how to make that at least a little bit more tolerable. But again, we don't want you to get in the habit. Down at the bottom left, we have online screening assessments. So we have students who go, gee, I don't know if I have ADHD, or I don't know if I maybe have bipolar disorder or any of those kinds of things. We have these assessments, again, anonymous, free, you can do in your bedroom, and you can, print that out or bring that into a counseling session, or talk to it, about the results with your family or with friends or your doctor. But we have those available to you. So we want to make sure that you use those. So the next page that we want to talk about is the counseling procedures tab. So we want to make sure that everybody knows like how to begin counseling, because that's the frequently asked question. So we need to have the student either come in or call to begin counseling. Counseling cannot begin with an email. So what we need you to do is call or come in, and that allows our office assistant to do what we call a triage. So is this student coming in for, a regular appointment? Like, hey, I kind of want to work on some of these things. And this appointment can take place, maybe later in the week or maybe even next week. Or another level of triage would be like, this is kind of getting urgent. Like, we want this person to be seen relatively quickly. So that might be a crisis hour or something like that. And then we have the urgent appointment. This is a crisis appointment. This is, holy cow, let's get this person in to see a counselor right away. and we can take care of all of those things. But that phone call or that visit to the office is going to be about 5 minutes where we gather some information, email, phone number, date of birth and name and all of that kind of stuff. But we'll be asking questions about like, what things are you coming into counseling? Because we want to make sure that you get hooked up with the right counselor. If you have some eating disorder, body image issues, I'm not the best person for that. So if those are some issues that are going on for you, please let that person know. They'll check it. You're going to get an appointment with Maggie. And so those questions are really important. So it's really easy to get set up with counseling. We want to let people know what to expect in counseling, and then our standard operating procedures. So we have information about missed sessions. So when a client misses a session, it's just like at the doctor's office. That means that that provider is sitting there not seeing anybody, and no one else can get in that spot. And so we do need to make sure that we put caps on anybody, canceling or late canceling or missing appointments. And so it just gives some information about that kind of stuff. And then I think our last page is on FAQs, because there's always questions about counseling. So the first question is, are there limits? So we try not to say, this is the number of limits that we have. I can say I've been a provider, a mental health counselor for 28 years, and on average, most people come in and get between 0 and 3 sessions. So what does 0 session mean? That means that they called us, they made an appointment, and they maybe no-showed or late canceled that first appointment, and they never came in. So the vast majority, like 60 to 70% of people come in between 0 and 3 times. We do short-term solution-focused counseling, so we can see students, we want to keep it maybe around 6 sessions, but please know we're flexible. We're not ever going to just like slam a door on somebody in the 6th session. We're not going to do that. Again, we'll always refer out if somebody needs or wants longer-term counseling than that. People ask about how long the appointments are for. Most counseling appointments are 45 to 50 minutes long. And, maybe at the end of counseling, as things are wrapping up, some counselors do like a 25 or 30-minute check-in. And so that is something that can be done. And then it talks about like, does counseling really help and why get counseling on all of those kinds of things. So before I wrap up my section, I want to talk about self-care. So I would love everybody. The link to this is going to be in the chat room. So this is Ignacio Pacheco's, excuse me, I'm going to take a drink of water. Ignacio Pacheco came up with this, and I love this. So in essence, we're looking at the mind, the body, and the spirit, and then the supportive people in my life, and then the what I want to accomplish. So for example, and the next one, we can go to the next page, and it's going to show Ignacio's the way that he created his self-care plan. And so you can look at that, like, he meditates and he does self-reflection, and for his body, he tries to sleep 8 hours and eat nourishing food and, eat things in moderation and all of that kind of stuff. I'll read off some of the things that I have on mine. For my mind, read an interesting article every day, learn something new every day. Take a break from the news if it gets too depressing. Those are things that are good for my mind and my spirit. For my body, like get enough protein, watch my posture, drink lots of water, get enough sleep, of course. And then, be able to list the people in your life, because the first semester of college can be a really stressful time for people if you just look at the number of new things that is happening in a person's life. Usually, moving city, moving out of their house, maybe having a roommate for the first time that they've never had before, new food and new hobbies, and having to make new friends, and then, college courses and all of that kind of stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening in the first semester. So come with a good self-care plan, because you're going to need it. I wish I could say that everything is going to be smooth sailing, but there's going to be bumps in the roads. And so we just really want to make sure that you have some good coping strategies for when you get stressed out and you need to do some good self-care. So that is all that I have for me.
Thank you very much, both Ruth and Anne. I really appreciate you taking time out of your evening to share this information with students and their families. Um, you know, it's this is wonderful to cover during this time because a lot of students, they might experience a crisis and maybe you're not thinking about what you need to do. So this is a really good time to learn about your resources, to know where to find that information. All of this will also be reiterated during orientation and in your 132 seminar. So you will see this information multiple times, but it is good to know just for yourself and also for some of your friends as well, because we are a community and we try to take care of each other. But counseling services is a really great service that we have here for our students on campus, and anyone can come to counseling. Don't think that you have to be in a crisis. If you just want to talk to somebody about what you're experiencing, what you're going through, that counseling is for everyone and everybody can benefit. So I wanted to go over really briefly just some of our programming options that we'll have available. Ruth already mentioned our ESF Engage platform. That I would encourage all students to kind of start to download. More information will be shared next week on what ESF Engage is. But if you're looking for things to do, or if you're looking for a specific type of program or something coming up, everything that we kind of do as far as programming or outreach goes through ESF Engage. So it's kind of your one-stop shop for information. And counseling services has an abundance of different resources and workshops and seminars. So, if you're really looking to kind of take your health and wellness to the next level, learn a little bit more about yourself, it's a really great opportunity to kind of learn more. We also host academic success workshops as well on a variety of different topics. So if you need to brush up on your skills for time management, test taking skills, stress management, those will be available as well on the ESF Engage platform. We also have our Choose Action Network, and we have a relationship with Vera House. So they do specialized programming regarding students who may be witnessing or noticing incidents of sexual violence or stalking, or may just want to learn more about the services that are in the Syracuse area. So they're a really great resource. We also have an awesome ESF Wellness Fair. This will be our first one. It'll be an all-day event, and we partner with a lot of outside organizations just to show you different types of resources that we have both on and off campus. And we also know that our faculty are also our partners. There's a lot of people on campus that if you did want to or need to talk to someone, people are going to direct you back to counseling services. So it's good to know that they're available kind of as that really staple resource. But a lot of us at the college are here to be allies to you. So feel free to kind of reach out to anybody if you are in need. I want to briefly also cover that we have our ESF University Police Department, which is also a very important resource for college campus. They provide a lot of different services, including emergency services. More will be covered about what they offer on campus during orientation. We'll have a special session about university police, who they are, and how you can access them. And additionally, the Barnes Center over at Syracuse University, all of our students have access to utilize their health and wellness and fitness center. So that will also be covered in next week's session. So shameless plug, next week will be our last engagement session, but that is not where the conversation ends. This is just to give you a primer or a little bit of an introduction as to what we're going to be covering in the fall during your arrival, what to expect. So there'll be some staff and even some students who are joining us to talk about their experiences and what fun things await your fall arrival. But I know people have been asking questions in the chat. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending this evening. This will be recorded, posted on YouTube, and also available on our new student website. But please feel free to reach out with any other questions or concerns. We'll do our best to answer them for you. But at this time, we will shut down the recording and we will just open it up to some questions. Thank you. Okay. So feel free to put questions in the chat, or you can just unmute and talk to us if you have anything that you would like to share.